Hello, and this is the Flying Cat Marketing Interview Series, and today I have Florian Montag from HotelHeroes, and he's also the co-founder of HotelHeroes, which is a platform that helps hotels buy new tech and manage those contracts that come with it. Thank you for joining us today.
Hi, Maiva. Thank you very much for having me on the show.
Yes, it is my pleasure to have you. So you're also the founder of, you also run another podcast, Smack, where you interview other leaders in the hospitality industry. And you have a lot of insight about what's going on right now in the hospitality world. And you just recently launched the new season, right? It just started last week.
Exactly. Yeah, actually, I think we launched the first episode on Monday this week. And from our first season to our second season, we have changed actually quite a lot. So Smack was also just an idea of Fritz, and who brought me into the boat. I think it was 1.5 years ago, because his team member said, "Hey, you need to, Fritz he has a digital marketing consultancy here in Germany, like hospitality, and they wanted to kind of bring some innovative content in there." And I knew Fritz already from before, and then he came over to me and said, "Hey, let's start something together, and just share interesting stories from people who we meet and who we talk to in our daily life, but where we think that these stories are very interesting for especially students in the hospitality industry." But then turning out that most of our listeners were more professionals in the industry who wanted to just, hear about stories from other hotel chains or from similar concepts. So step by step, we built up Smack, which for us, it's the goal is just, unscripted, fun discussions, similar to what you are doing, just more with the focus of having hospitality leaders, professionals, students who are our target audience for our podcast.
When did you decide to start doing the storytelling? Because that's what you were doing in the last season as well, right?
Yeah. So when did we start with it? Like with Smack, and we just started with it. It was like, okay, first episode, let's just build something ourselves. Having Fritz there with his agency already, so branding and all of that was already quite a strong part which they do for their customers. So this is just a component which they brought in from day one. And then from there on, we did the first podcast, we did the second, the third. We knew already like who we wanted to interview, and then somewhat we saw how it picked up, and then we started now to professionalize it a bit. And now with season 2, actually we brought in 2 more hosts.
Okay.
So before that we did 2. We were always Fritz and myself, and one person, or sometimes also 2 or 3 people in the podcast, in English and German. And now we said, okay, we have both our own businesses. We have a strong network, but it's also very, let's say, tech digitally driven, because this is the kind of the subjects which we know about and which we typically talk to our network to. So then we got in Philip Ibrahim, who's the general manager from the student hotel here in Berlin, and Patricia Zwick, who's just a graduate from Lausanne, from the hotel school where we were, as new hosts. And now each of us, we have our own episodes which we do. And with this bringing more diversity, more new people, and so also being more entertaining, as I think 2, 3, 4 seasons of only hotel tech or hotel digital for hoteliers would become somewhat monotone. Not everybody is so passionate about it like we are.
Amazing. So how do you guys prepare actually in advance for these interviews? How do you find who you want to interview?
I'm not allowed to tell that's I'm saying like if people would know, they would expect us to have long preparation and actually writing down a lot of questions and etc. So typically we look for characters, so people where we're like, hey, I spoke to him or to her, and just they have a cool audience, like they have a cool aura or they have a cool story to tell. we love to have people on where we have a personal connection with, because we know that the link and it's more authentic. And then the preparation itself, we of course, if we don't know the person so well, we do a bit of background checks, but we like to keep it open and see, where we don't have a pre-interview and going into detail. We just see, like, where is it going? What are the key topics at the moment? And then just kind of spending our days on these subjects. We have a lot of questions coming up, but we don't want it to be scripted or too technical, because it has to be a light-hearted, entertaining podcast.
Mm-hmm. So you had the first season lasted a year, right?
Yeah.
So you had one season from 2019 to the middle up until the middle of this year, and then starting obviously kind of the end of this season, and I guess the beginning of this one. Well, it's coronavirus times. Do you feel like that had any impact on your listeners? Like maybe more people trying to come and join because they're thinking, "What is everybody else doing? I need to know what my peers are up to," or?
Yeah, I mean, for us, it changed a lot, because we started only doing in-person podcast. It was very important for us. That was actually kind of like, we traveled to Geneva and Lausanne to do in-person. We traveled to London, and then we had like 3 podcasts a day, and really taking time out of our days and trying to have that real high-end, authentic content. But then, everything changed. With Corona, we could not travel anymore. We needed to produce content, so we started doing it digitally. We are satisfied with it, and we think it's good. I'm still a big fan of having in person, because there's just another kind of vibe. Even if it's just audio, I have the feeling you can feel it.
Yeah.
What happened with Corona? I mean, suddenly everybody produced content, and it was information overload. Everybody did a webinar, everybody did their own series, and so we at that time we were like, let's take a step back actually, and not just go into let's do a special Smack COVID and it's here and there, because we realized that we want to stay true to our mission and to our vision of the podcast, and just to have really good people on there and create that content. So we just kept doing the same. We had some episodes which went through the roof in terms of listeners. I don't know if it was the guest speaker who brought, because the topic was so hot, or if it was also because of Corona that just so much more people are interested. But you can see now already that it's slowing down with other content and other online content. So now I think it's the better side for us for a real podcast, because at one point it was just too much that people didn't really know what to listen to, and now we're bringing out our podcasts which will be on a more regular basis, and it's not all Corona related. We also want to look at other subjects, and of course it always plays an impact, and it has an impact on a lot of parts of our industry, especially in the hospitality industry. But so I think Corona just made it even harder to stay true to oneself. But it's important if you want to have the longevity of that project.
Yeah, absolutely. So you say that Smack there's a few different entities involved. It's not just HotelHeroes.
Yeah, exactly.
HotelHero.
So it's actually, we are the partner. So it's actually from Fritz and Like Hospitality. They are the key drivers behind it. And we joined that project from day one. So that is how we started. And now season 2, we really we have Philip and Patricia who joined, which is amazing, because of course the networks grow, the diversity of the content grow. We can also do much more, and we don't see it as a money driving project. It's not for that. So it's really more about, hey, we want to make this part of the industry just more fun. We want more people to hear the good stories and make it more interesting for young professionals or for people to engage and to participate. And we had the feeling that this was just missing. Of course, I'm not lying if we are also fans that, you know, the name HotelHero or my name or Fritz's name are being mentioned moreover, and we build our personal brands and company brands with this, of course, but it's more a passion project than you know, something where we say, okay, this is part of our business strategy, and we want to make something out of that or monetize it very strongly. Of course, we also have costs around that. We spend a lot of time, but so it's more trying to give back to the industry.
Cool. So let's talk a little bit about HotelHero or Hotel Tech. I'm interested in, because I was checking out the background and how it came to be. And basically it was your co-founder, Julian, who was like assigned to go find a new tech stack. And then he was like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do, how to find this. Why did that happen? Why is it so hard? Is it the tech company's fault?
Yeah, as you can see, it's always other people who come to me with the good ideas, and I just jump on. No, why is it so hard? Why is it an issue? That's a big question. A lot of people ask always, and I think it's also because it's a very current problem, which of course tech was always a problem in the hospitality industry, and people say, oh, legacy tech and all of that. But the biggest shift was not so long ago, was when it was from on-premise to cloud. Because before it was on-premise, a hotel was looking, especially independent hotels were looking for strong support, that when I'm in the Swiss Alps and my property management system on Christmas Eve doesn't work, I don't care how good my system is. I need to have the support which would come that night and repair my system or fix the problem. So their local resellers and local support was the number one driver for buying new tech. And so with the shift to the cloud and having more apps, of course, brought this more international, and vendors don't need to be close to their customers anymore. And through this, also the tech stack has just evolved. So hotel can now use 15, 20, 30 different apps for a hotel, from guest experience to back office to revenue distribution, marketing, etc. And so it becomes overwhelming for many hoteliers to know what are the systems out there, the tech which they're using, do the systems integrate to their current tech stack, all of that. So it's a new subject which has great importance, especially now taking COVID into account. But it's also time consuming and a very different field of expertise, which the classical hotelier didn't really spend time on or was not an expert on. So that's where we came on, and because it was then the job which they gave to an intern back in the day, like Julian, saying, hey, find a new tech. And, if he then takes the decisions or he makes this research but has no idea what to research for and where to research the information, then you just know that the systems which will be implemented will not be the perfect fit for the hotel. And then it goes into the downward spiral. Then it's again, oh, the tech is bad, they don't like it, and the industry doesn't innovate. So that's kind of where we wanted to come in and make a change.
What state are the hotels in normally when they want to change their tech stack? I mean, what drives them to do that?
So typically, a hotel doesn't necessarily want to change all of their tech stack. So that's kind of the nice scenario, is when they can start off, hey, we want everything new. That's the easiest scenarios. The hardest scenarios is more like, I have this piece of the puzzle, I have this piece of the puzzle, and I need to change the middle piece, because then suddenly there's much more components which you have to think about, and processes which you need to take into account. What are the reasons why hotels search for new things is because the shoes, like some places really hurting, and they really need to find a solution, as maybe something related with guests or something with staff, or somewhere where they can make more revenue have reduced their costs. But it was typically in a booming market, the main things were always, how can I increase my ADR, my average daily rate, or my RevPAR, which takes occupancy and ADR together, or where they had the strongest competition also. So Booking.com and all of that being competitors, or they had to pay high commissions for the distribution. That's why a lot of hotels spend a lot of money on new websites and new booking engines, because actually that was the point where they were most forced on. It's not necessarily why I think I think also other parts in the business, especially in back of house automation and streamlining processes, where they could save a lot of money. But these were things which, as business is booming, you don't really think about that. It's more what is the trendy topic. And this was definitely distribution, revenue management, all of that.
So if I'm a tech company and I want to be found by these hotels that want to change, that want to invest in new technology, obviously one of my options is to partner with HotelHero, to have you kind of suggest it to these hotels. But what are other things that these companies can do to be found easier, or to make this easier on hotels to understand that they're meeting their needs?
Yeah, so I think definitely I would say number one place to go is HotelHero. And transparency, collect reviews. You can collect reviews on our platform. For example, you can also leave, we brought out the German, the Austrian Hotel Technology Report. We bring now out the German one with market share data, etc. So really being able to give the data to hotels, so they know who is there on the market and how do the players differentiate. And we also work in partnership with, for example, Tech Talk Travel now, which we're announcing a bigger partnership at the moment, where we also want to push a lot more educational content. Because I think that is important. It's not anymore, I can do everything and I'm the best for you in all means. It's more being honest and trying to help the hotelier to educate themselves, to educate the hotelier and saying, hey, this is what my solution can do. This is how we can help you. These are maybe the challenges which we are missing, especially if you look at younger tech companies. I think this is where hoteliers appreciate it, because a lot of hotels, like salespeople also, they don't necessarily understand the problems of the hotels, and they don't understand the processes and how things work. And then they always say, yes, no problem. This is not important. We can do this. We can do this. We can do this. And the hotelier then just sometimes thinks that they can actually do it. And then when they buy it, they realize, wow, they can't. And it's a big mess. Or they don't take the salesperson seriously anymore. So I think having that, more the challenger sale. So having, being a tech company where you talk to your customers, you understand your customers' problems, and trying to challenge them maybe to think differently and maybe change their processes, but being really able to explain why and how this will improve their business. I think that's the best kind of selling. And at the moment, the best way of being found is of course, I would say, through partnerships online, to build good content. SEO is of course important, and it also depends a bit like what kind of categories you are. Is it a problem, for example, mobile check-in, things which are like hot at the moment due to COVID, or is it maybe some parts which less people would look for at this stage? So there you maybe need to be a bit more pushy, and you're not the solution which people would search for.
Yeah, that's always an interesting approach that you have to take when you have something that's innovative and people wouldn't even think to look for this. They don't realize that it's something that they could solve, right? Then you have to take a totally different approach. I'm interested in this index that you guys have, the HotelHero Index, which is, according to your definition, an aggregate score made up of several variables, including the information shared by vendors about their products, the volume of client reviews, the overall satisfaction of clients, and the number of references listed by the vendor. Can you tell me more about this index? How did you guys? Yeah.
Of course, we were a long time hesitant to bring an index on because it's always as accurate as the data which you have. But then we realized it was also something which hotels were looking for. And then we thought, okay, what's the best way of bringing this together? And we thought it had to be different components. On the one side, transparency score, how we call it, the information the vendor adds. So these are things like, having an open pricing so that the hotelier, when they're on HotelHero, they see approximately, is it a per room pricing? How much is it per room? Or is it a transaction fee? Is it a commission? Just because we see ourselves as being in a tech procurement funnel. There's first education and then there's the search and evaluation. And we are at that search and startup evaluation, but the real evaluation goes when they talk to the vendors. Mm-hmm. So we don't need to be full accurate on everything to the last detail, but we need to help the hotel in a short period of time find out, okay, what systems are out there and who fits best to me. So that's why transparency score is important, because we want to say, okay, these vendors, they're open. They show you the information, so you don't have to talk to them to already evaluate if they're even in your budget or not. So that's the first part. Then the review part, it's collecting just user reviews. We have it on two levels. So hotels who sign up on our platform, we have a recommendation engine where hotels can give their tech stack. We have information from Google My Business and TripAdvisor about their hotel. And we then show them already what systems fit to them. And with this, we collect also data of who is using what. And there they could also just say, I recommend or I don't recommend the system. Mm-hmm. And then vendors or hoteliers can also leave a full review where it's like functionalities, price, value, where it's interface, where it's support, setup, etc. And so we build an aggregate score there. We have different weightings, and to also again kind of just give an index for hotels. How good are these vendors rated? And then the last point is references. Why are references important? Is that you can have an amazing score or amazing reviews as a revenue management system when your clients are 10 to 20 room hotels, but it doesn't matter for a 150 room hotel part of a chain. It's not going to be fitting so well. So there again, it goes a bit hand in hand with that transparency, is where that we can then also tell the hoteliers, hey, these guys typically work with chain hotels between 100 and 200 mm-hmm. rooms. And so for some vendors, we have 1,000+ references. So there we can really say, okay, they are present in Germany, Austria, Switzerland. They have most 60% of their clients being this type. So again, helping hotels to know who fits best to us. That's mm-hmm. That's why and how we built up the HotelHero index.
So it's actually they're filling out all this information inside of HotelHero, and then you score it automatically.
So exactly, with the reviews which they have to collect from hoteliers, yeah. or which hoteliers give themselves when they use our platform. But of course, if you want to actively now aiming to tech vendors at the moment, if you want to actively push your score and your positioning on HotelHero, it's like for a hotel or short-term rental or whatever is, collect reviews on Booking, collect your reviews on Google, just to have a better rating. So the more actively you manage it, the better you position yourself.
Yeah, fair. So I hate to bring up coronavirus again, mm-hmm. but in this time, are hotels buying more tech? Is now a time where maybe since they're slowing down, they say, okay, now we finally have the time to invest in this, to think about it, or are they cutting costs?
So I would say in general, no. There was that I can really speak European and with a very strong, also more in-depth knowledge about the DACH markets, especially where we have a lot of conversations with a lot of hotels and hotel chains. it was that feeling between, I would say, April and June, where especially in DACH markets, it was kind of, let's search for good tech, let's look at new tech, let's maybe buy new tech. And, we are kind of going against the trend and because we are kind of, more forward thinking. And this has slowed down completely because they all thought September is going to go back to normal. And now we're in September and they're like, oh, no, okay, nothing is happening. And now it's continuing to cut budgets. And hotel chains in general, they were cutting budgets from day one. It was the most of the people with whom we were in contact, they were furloughed. Budgets were, systems were put on hold. We were in contact also with a lot of vendors where they said, hey, we just, stopped all payments for all of our customers. And now we're looking like how to improve it again. We brought the project to life, like a COVID assistance package to really push hotels to try new tech for free or for 6 months for free. And some categories, it works really well because it was kind of like, okay, let's say upselling. Even with the extra hotel, like a hotel room I sell, I maybe make €5 more per night or something. And that's something like, okay, I can try it out. But if it was topics like energy management or anything which was like about optimization, about cost saving, it was like, I have no time for cost saving. I have other problems at the moment.
Yeah.
So, and looking at also France or something, I have the feeling there was never that optimism of kind of, it was directly to, we're going to be hit hard. So I think it's also a bit like, where did COVID hit the strongest? And we here in Germany, in DACH, we were quite, the lockdown was not as severe. Things looked as if, we just, went through it quite well. But of course, now in hindsight, we're far from over and it's just starting again.
Yeah. Are there any tech companies that had some kind of strategy that works particularly well to keep them going?
Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of companies who are booming at the moment also, like everything which is digital guest directories, which is online check-in, that's going through the roof. Chat and chatbots are things, check-in kiosks suddenly in 5-star hotels. Like a year ago, the general manager would have thrown them out of the hotel, kind of like, how dare you propose a non-personal check-in experience? And now it's kind of like, oh, maybe we could have one for the ones who prefer not talking to a staff member. So there's that. And also some categories that free trial was super helpful because people are just saying, hey, or the thing like, we give it for free until a certain amount of occupancy in your hotel and then you pay. But a lot of other vendors, I think, also did that and more cannibalized their business. So it also really depends, like, would it make sense for a hotel to do that? And was your implementation process, is it a complicated one? Because if it's that, there's the free trial is not going to be that decision maker why a hotel would try it out. But if you can add incremental revenue and it's super easy to test, then maybe a free trial is a great thing to have because they will see their benefit directly and maybe just test it out for a week or 2 or a month and then see the advantages.
Yeah, I mean that's what I was thinking as well, because a property management system, it's not really easy to get set up into that, especially if you have a lot of listings or a lot of rooms. That's not something that you can just be like, oh, I'll try this one for 4 days and then I'm going to try another one.
Yeah, and then you can say, okay, I give it 12 months for free or something, depending on the size of your company and stuff. Me personally, the feedback I had from vendors doing that was not necessarily that, wow, this is a game changer. But it also depends, I think, who you're talking to. Maybe for very small independent properties, maybe they would do that because they were just thinking about okay, cost saving. But if you're looking at any type of a bit more professionally run smaller chains or smaller groups, these are not decisions which you make on 6 months cost saving, but it's a decision which you take on 12 or on 7 years or on 5 years, even though we say tech has not that life cycle anymore. but for them, they still make these kind of decisions. And then if the decision makers are furloughed, or they only have 20% of their time, they're not going to say, okay, let's change PMS throughout my chain, because that would. But some also said we do projects faster, and some which had signed contracts already did implementations, but that was just because they knew that they had to do it anyways and just use the time to do it. So hard to generalize in such a diverse industry, and also with so many diverse tools which all have a bit of a different USP and value proposition and implementation process.
Have you added new tools during this time? Are there new players still coming into the scene?
I'm not sure if yes, we definitely added new tools, because we always add new tools. Have there been new players? I think there's everything which around like chatbot, chat has gotten a lot of traction. Before there were the small ones, and now the bigger chains, they also talk about it. So I think just, there's a shift of focus from, so to new types of tech. But I would not say that I know already like a solution which was just founded a couple months ago and has made the big breakthrough. But there's been the ones which were working on it, and online check-in kiosks, all that, they are seeing a huge uprise, because now it's just, as we mentioned before, it's the tech people are saying like, oh, I need it. And in Germany, there was also some legal changes that now you can actually have a real digitally processed check-in. Before, you always had to have a paper signature for every guest. So this was just a legal thing which was changed in January, which also had, of course, an implication on this.
Yeah, cool. Well, that's all the questions I have for you today. Thank you. And I guess that if there's any hotel tech listening that, and if you're not on HotelHero,
Yeah, and also for everything, players who are more vacation rental or service departments and all of that, it's also useful to list at HotelHero, and also because we like to also see, because I think there's a lot of similarities between the different verticals, and so always happy to have more people starting the conversation with me or with our team, and see that maybe HotelHero can expand also to help service departments, etc., or vacation rentals to find the right tech.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there is a lot of overlap, really. It's sometimes the tech just have to choose, am I doing hotels or am I doing service department? But they can also do several of them. Thank you. So if anybody wants to connect with you, where's the best place to find you?
LinkedIn, definitely number one place to find me, and I try to be responsive. So LinkedIn would be number one, or on our platform on the chat to me or somebody from the team. But LinkedIn is my go-to platform to connect.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me today, and I'll see you around.
Perfect. Thank you very much for having me.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Flying Cat Marketing Series. If you enjoyed this interview, please give it a like, share it with your friends and colleagues, and subscribe to this channel. Stay tuned, because next week I'll be interviewing another leader in the SaaS and startup world, talking about their challenges and achievements. See you there.